Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's event, Breakthrough and Thrive, a conversation with Chris Bosh, Angela Duckworth, and Breakthrough Collaborative. My name is Ruth, and I'm a junior from Breakthrough Greater Boston. I'll be joining the conversation a little later, along with 4 other Breakthrough students and alumni. For now, I would like to introduce one of our special guests and our moderator for today, Angela Duckworth. Angela is no stranger to Breakthrough. In fact, she founded Breakthrough Greater Boston nearly 30 years ago. Today, she is the founder and CEO of Character Lab. She is also a psychology professor, a MacArthur Genius Award winner, and a New York Times bestselling author. Angela, thank you for being with us today.
Ruth, thank you so much for getting us started. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that I actually wrote down what I'm going to say because I'm so excited. I'm worried that I'll go on and on and on if I don't read from what I prepared. So I am truly thrilled to be taking part in today's event. This topic, how to thrive, like how to be our best. It's something that I've studied as a psychologist, and I literally can't think of a better audience for this question because y'all are ambitious. You want to make something with your life. And I literally can't think of a better person to be in conversation with than Chris Bosh, who you're going to meet in a moment. I do want to say something about my connection to Breakthrough. When I was in college, I went to teach in Breakthrough in New Orleans, and it blew my mind. I came back and I decided I want to start a Breakthrough here. So I did. I was, at the time, I was in Boston area, Boston and Cambridge. So I started up Breakthrough Greater Boston. Shout out to Breakthrough Greater Boston. And today, Breakthrough has 24 affiliates all over all the places that we want to be, but and counting. Recruiting and training 1,200 teaching fellows for more than 250 different colleges and universities. And here's the most important part: supporting more than 10,000 middle and high school students every year. Today's conversation, as I said, so excited to be a part of. The topic here is really how to break through and thrive. And I had the pleasure of meeting our special guest, a role model for all of us, Chris Bosh, not long ago. I met him because of this. And this is going to be what we're talking about. See all those? Those are my Post-it notes. And Chris, is a 2-time NBA champion, NBA Hall of Famer. Congratulations to Chris on that recent accolade. Husband, he's a dad, and he's just a world-class author in addition to all of those. His new book, Letters to a Young Athlete, tells his personal story. It provides us all, I think, lessons on passion, determination, purpose, and more. We're going to explore those themes together. And Chris is going to be in conversation not only with me and via whatever you chat with the rest of us, but also 5 Breakthrough students who will be joining us from cities that are near and dear to our hearts, including Atlanta, Central Texas, Greater Boston, Miami, and Philadelphia. Throughout the hour that we have together this evening, we do hope, Chris and I hope, that you will engage on social media, share comments and questions via the chat, and we will try to do our best to get to everything and to everyone. So Chris, if you would do us the honor, please, of joining us. Welcome to Breakthrough.
Thanks for having me.
This is you're broadcasting from your home, looks like.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm home in Austin. I'm hanging out. I was saying earlier, my kids, we let them play iPad at this time, so they're having a good time.
Thank you for doing that. And I want to begin at the beginning, and I want to talk about why you decided to write this book, which I think of as a book of letters to young people, not just young athletes. I want to read to you just a little bit from very early in the book, and then I'd love you to tell us a story about Coach Hill. So the part that I wanted to read to you from your own book was, one of the lucky moments for me was a conversation I still remember like yesterday. I was in high school at the gym. I was always at the gym. I loved it. And my coach, Thomas Hill, asked me the kind of question most young kids never get, but almost always need. And then you talk about, what he did, but can you bring us back to that conversation? I think that does have a lot to do with why you wrote this book.
It does. That moment in hindsight, it ended up being one of those moments for me, because even though you don't know what it means at the time, you still feel that magic. The hair on your back of your neck still stands up, even if you don't understand it. And the thing that really, really set it off for me was just the way he looked at me. And this particular day, I was to a point where I was always working out. It was pretty much, we were doing some crazy stuff, which is we were back at the gym at night on a school day, and this is not practice with my team. This is just straight up like him picking me up, and we're just getting some work in and getting better. And we did this certain particular drill. And after I did it, he was just looking at me like, what kind of a look of disbelief in his face. And I just had to write about it. I had to bring that moment back. I felt it was so important because Thomas, Coach Hill, he was one of the first to teach me the fundamentals of the game. He was the first person to teach me the fundamentals of the game. I would go to his camp when I was 14. I'm pretty sure my mom and dad were sometimes late on the payments because he would ask me like, hey, can your mom take care of us? But he was just generous like that. And he always made sure he put in effort to help me get better. And I never remember the look on his face. And he was asking me, and I talk about this in the book as well. What do you want to do? His exact words were, well, okay. Yeah, he just like, we stopped the whole workout. He said, what do you want to do? Like, what are we doing? And, to me, I said, wow, this workout must be going pretty good. Hey, I want to go to a Division I college and play college basketball. And then he proceeded to say, yo, that's easy. Like, okay, like, what do you want to do with this talent? Start thinking deeper about it. And so that I just never forgot that moment. I didn't know what he was saying at the time. I didn't know what he was talking about. I just knew the feeling. And that made me feel like I had enough talent to be able to maximize it and actually possibly make the NBA.
So I bet there are a lot of young people, listening to your words. And then when you said, that I realized I had enough talent to make it to the NBA, can you talk to me about talent? You write about it in a very reflective way. Like, how talented are you, Chris Bosh? Like, is this just God-given a blessing from above?
A lot of my friends, and especially my wife, will say, oh, he's the most talented person I know. For me, I never saw it that way. If I'm curious about something, I read about it. I take in as much information as possible. I try to work backwards, and the curiosity, I think, is what really gets me to where I want to go, and just the want to be good at something. I mean, it's just kind of like this drive I can't explain. Even if it's learning a new game, if my kids, if they want to get competitive on a game, I have to teach them like, hey, your dad was born playing games just like you. So I'll learn this game and eventually get good at it. But, I just always try to, I just like doing things, I like doing things. I like excelling at things. And it was always like that with basketball. Of course, I got lucky and became, 6'10". I got off to a slow start.
That is luck. I have to say that.
That's luck.
You get lucky there with the height.
Actually being able to walk and chew gum, that's luck too. I have actual.
You have a little coordination, right? Like there's a little natural coordination. All right.
I have some cousins that are my height, and they're not the same. They never played basketball, but more importantly, I just loved playing the sport, and it's kind of that gray area between talent, and I've just been doing this for a long time. And so when it came to excel, when it came to putting the work in on and off the court, and when I say off the court, I mean by in the classroom as well, trying to do my best to be a model son, a model citizen, and all that good stuff. Things got serious, and I just kept working at it. And I think those are the years that really formed me, because you have to have the talent, and I say this in my book as well, it can only get you so far. If I've seen many times in the NBA and amongst other industries out there as well, somebody not as talented, but they work their butt off and they get it done. And the talented person, kind of like in the tortoise and the hare situation, I was like, oh, I'm talented, I'm good.
Yeah.
And they ended up, in competition, you'll end up getting beat. That'll be pretty much one of your last thoughts.
On this tortoise and hare thing, just to show people that you are the hardworking tortoise, but also I think there's such a powerful lesson in here for, again, the young people who are watching. Let me read from your book on page 202. You wrote, I've seen some guys who are too one-dimensional about what they work on. They're content to be elite at just one facet of the game. And while that's better than nothing, it's not the way to greatness. Besides, while deliberately focusing on your weaknesses may be uncomfortable, it means admitting you have weaknesses, which not everyone can do, and it's where you see the fastest results. There's no quicker way to see practice pay off than practicing the weakest part of the game. Can you say more about that? Because I think a lot of young people have not yet learned that lesson, that true champions work on what they're not good at. So maybe you could even be specific. Chris, that I don't know anything about basketball, but if you want to throw in some basketball terms in there, that would be fine too.
That's kind of, I think, the day and age that we all live in right now, right? We can form our own bubble, whether that's praise or shame. We could just be so caught up in compliments and just thinking, everything is great because, hey, I'm just going to show up and I'll get a trophy, which, not knocking that, nothing's wrong with that. But at the same time, you do lose a sense of trying to dig something out of yourself. I think that's one of the major things for me that helped me, was that I was always really just aspiring to be more. Now in basketball, of course, it's not easier, but there's competition. There's a score at the end of the day, and right away, if you did good or not. But and it goes both ways. Really getting wrapped up in praise or getting wrapped up in negative things, that can shield you away from what you need to get better at, and that's what it is.
What were the weak parts of your game? Was there a kind of was there a part of your game where you were like, oh, this was easy for me? Okay, literally, I can't say anything in basketball without sounding like a total idiot. So, what was the weakest part of your game that you used to selectively practice?
I mean, when I was younger, I was always running up and down, and I was fast. I could run and jump extremely high, and I was fast. Then I had to work on my strength, because that was a weakness of mine. And
you were fast, but you weren't as strong.
Defense, right. If I was playing defense on the bigger individual, that's where I struggled. And then when the season goes on and on, we play 82 games a season, your body starts to wear down. You don't have as much strength to be able to guard against injury and things like that. So I had to get better at that. And then after that, I started having to fine tune my game. Because in the game of basketball, the more success that you see, the more your success is attempted to be mitigated by other teams. They're going to try to stop you, and you still have to find a way to be successful night in and night out. And that's when you try to be great. And that's all I really tried to do. But I was so lucky because I was able to find basketball. Like, that was my thing, to give me these lessons, to be able to say, hey, I need to get stronger. I need to work on my game. I'm being truthful with myself. And that's another thing I want to touch on as well. Sometimes, constructive criticism, and I see it more and more. And to those, the young people watching right now, accept criticism. Don't shun it away. Just because sometimes, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt.
It hurts. It does hurt.
It hurts.
Even at our age, right? Still hurts.
It hurts. Come on, it hurts. Yeah. But listen to it. Except, I'm not saying that gives someone a pass to be mean or anything like that, but someone who is on your side, hopefully, that is telling you something that you should get better at, accept that and excel. That will separate you so much from the rest of the pack, and you'll be able to get better day by day.
Chris, I have dozens of other questions and bookmarks, but I know we have students who are going to continue this conversation. I'm going to give you a quick break because what we're going to do now is we are going to hear from the Breakthrough students, but before that, we're going to actually have a short video. It's about 90 seconds, and it really does capture the magic of Breakthrough for those of you who are new to Breakthrough. So let's go to that video now, and then we'll come back, Chris, with 5 Breakthrough students. At the heart of Breakthrough, it's younger kids getting into learning and older kids getting into teaching. That combination of young kids who are discovering their academic potential and older kids discovering that they can make a difference in the world, it's magic.
We're preparing low-income, first-generation students for success in college. Our students are coming to Breakthrough every summer, in the school year, after school, receiving lots of great support, all at no cost to them and their families.
There's this sense of let's look out for each other here at Breakthrough. And I think that that gets cultivated through things like having their families. I think there's opportunities in the all-school meetings to celebrate each other, where kids can see themselves shine in an environment, see that they are appreciated and valued for what they do and for who they are.
So in my school, I always had that mentality like, oh, it's not cool to study. It's, like, don't try as hard in school. But the teachers here, they made learning fun. So I began to love to learn, to love to do my homework. Always wanted to participate. So Breakthrough helped me grow as a student. Breakthrough is a place where a student can grow and they will find a family.
Outstanding. Let's keep the energy going. And the best way to do that is for me to introduce Peyton. Peyton is an alum of Breakthrough Atlanta and currently a junior at one of my favorite schools, Georgia Tech, where Chris played college basketball, it turns out. Peyton is studying chemical and biomolecular engineering. Very impressive, Peyton. Peyton, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. It's great to get to see you, meet you. My question is, in your book, in your second letter, You Have to Find Your Why, you share the story of the New Orleans Saints coach, Sean Payton, as his players are preparing for the game. He shows them the powerful imagery of the destruction that was left behind by Hurricane Katrina. And he uses that to really communicate to them that, their performance on the field that day is representative of so much more than just the outcome of that singular game. So, while the rest of us may not have the eyes of a city on us, how would you suggest that we kind of incorporate that level of motivation into our lives every day?
Man, that's a great question. I think, that's one of the challenges, right? I was saying before, I was lucky to have basketball and we can get into this later, but after not having the game, I began to empathize and think about those who don't have a thing, right? If you want to be a fashion designer and there's no sewing class or sewing club in your community or at your school, how do you thrive? That's of course one of the greatest challenges I think we all face. And don't get me wrong, I face that on a day-to-day basis. But in my opinion, I think you just you have to be brave, and you just have to step out there and seek something that you really want to do. You got to find that thing. In finding your why, of course, you have to identify what you want to do first. And then once you've identified that goal, that's the reason to get out of bed every day, right? Now it's on your imagination and really just your want to, succeed. I've always just had it in me. I can't describe it. And I think maybe everyone watching this does too, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. It's just something you have to do. You can't explain it. You just feel it. But, I think showing enthusiasm, getting up every day and having that thing to get you out of bed, to motivate you, even if you don't have it from exterior sources. You use your self-esteem, right? And if you're lacking in that, if you're weak in that, work at it. But at the end of the day, I've talked to many great people, and one of the main things that they tell me is that we all have a choice. Things happen every day, but we all have a choice how we're going to respond to things, how we're going to feel after we get up in the morning. We might not be able to control how we feel, that immediate thing, but how we're going to react after that. And yeah, the eyes of the world may not be on you, and trust me, that's a good thing. You'll want it until it happens. Like, that's pretty much what happened to me. But it's just wanting to identify that passion, that thing that's inside of you that just has to get out. I think if you're doing that, if you're following that passion, these things will come to you, and you'll be able to learn these lessons. And a lot of it has to do with motivating yourself. A lot of people just, how many people that'll just sit and wait and like, oh, okay, well, something's got to happen, and then get mad if it doesn't happen. Nah, get your butt up, get out of bed, get out the house, do what you need to do, answer emails, study, go to class, do what you need to do with enthusiasm to make sure you get to where you need to go. Because I guarantee you, no one has accomplished anything great without that enthusiasm. Even when you don't feel it, you just got to get up and go for it.
Thank you so much for that answer. And I'll just say, Peyton, thank you for asking that. Chris, you won't be surprised that there's a lot of scientific research showing exactly what you just said. And that, like, answer the emails, study, because those small wins is what kind of keeps, I think, that, that fire going. And I, like I said, when I was reading your book, I was just like writing in the margins, because it's just uncanny how you kind of nailed what the research is also saying. I'm going to introduce our next student, Peter. Peter is a 12th grader from Breakthrough Miami, and a Miami Heat fan, I believe. So welcome, Peter. We're looking forward to your question.
Good evening. I would like to first thank you for allowing me to be a panelist on behalf of Breakthrough Miami. And my question was that in chapter 10, the name on the front of the jersey, you mentioned being looked up to by certain young athletes looking for guidance. And my question was, at what specific point in your life did you realize you were no longer a student of the game, but you were a teacher or a mentor that could guide others?
After LeBron left. The short form answer is after LeBron left. After LeBron left, Dwayne and I, of course, we chose to stay in Miami. And one of the interesting things that happened is we all kind of changed our game as a team to be able to function under that, specific scope, with pretty much at the time the best player in the world leading the helm. And, we conformed to that. And then what I found funny was, after he left, for those who don't know, in my first 7 years of my career, I played in Toronto. Something was really funny. After he left, everybody came back to me and said, okay, we need the old CB. We need the Toronto CB. And I thought that was so crazy, because I'm like, well, why would I go back to that when I'm better than I've ever been now? But I just say that to say how interesting just the perception had changed, and before, when we had those championship teams, we were a bit older. I think one year we had the oldest team in the league. Everybody's fathers, husbands, organizers in the community, businessmen, philanthropists, all that good stuff. After LeBron left, we totally revamped the team, and now we have guys that are 19, 20, 21, rookies, younger players. And now I found myself, 30. We all make fun of folks and saying, you're old. But then one day you look up and it's like, oh man, 30 came fast. I'm 37 now, and it's crazy, but in practice and in meetings and things like that, I found myself having to educate my teammates, my coworkers, I found myself in a position where it's like, okay, I have to bring that enthusiasm today because we're not playing too well. We have to have a good practice. We have to have a good showing. We're going to have to get ourselves out of this rut with something. And, that was more on the shoulders of me. But one of the good things about being on those championship teams was I was able to take a lot of those formulas. So being able to organize dinners on the road, that was one of my big, huge things. Getting the team together, getting kids together, the wives, the families together, those were always a big thing that I tried to do. And yeah, it's crazy. It just happens one day. And, 2000, pretty much 14, 15 season, that's when I felt the heat of having to be able to carry this load on my shoulders. Not that I didn't have other help. It's just when you're in a bigger role of responsibility, that's just the task that you have to carry. And with that said, it was still challenges daily. I hope I did a decent job, but it'll happen to you one day. Hopefully, man, you'll be making fun of old people, and then you'll be old, man. And
Peter's already old.
They'll be joking on you and laughing at you. And one of the funniest things, it'd be like, okay, Chris, we need you to do this tonight, or we need that peak performance tonight in order to win this game. And I'm like, yo, my knees and my ankles are hurting right now. We haven't even started. I just got to the gym, but meeting those challenges and just trying to overcome them daily, that's the name of the game.
Now, I know we are supposed to be talking about character and thriving, but anything you want to say about King James this season?
Before we go to our next student? Look, and I hope everybody watches this. And this is like, this is what we learned from, looking at the long picture. It's a very long season. Everybody, sports, it's a very emotional, it evokes emotional reactions, especially if you're a Lakers fan. They probably Lakers.
They're the most emotional, it seems like.
They're the most emotional fans in the world, so you just have to, it's a long season. If they're playing well 4 months from now, nobody will remember right now. It's all about the daily habits. And sometimes it's just handling that crummy day. That's that's a lot of the battle. You just got to hold the fort.
Thank you, Chris. By the way, somewhere back there, I've got one of LeBron's children's books too. So I want to welcome Deanna on. Deanna is a high school junior from Breakthrough Central Texas, Chris's home state. Deanna, welcome and go for it.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. So my question for you is, reflecting on where you are now, what advice would you give a graduating high school senior who wants to be great but doesn't sure know how to get there?
So that whole thing, not sure how to get there, I'm dealing with that right now. Don't let that thought discourage you from what you want to do or having a dream or how you're going to get there and all those good things. It's crazy. Just that whole not the conversation, the whole question is crazy because this is pretty much my 20-year anniversary, or my 20-year reunion is coming. I'm not going to it, but it's coming up this year. And I mean, man, 20 years ago, I was a high school senior, pretty much where you all are right now, for those who are seniors and graduating. I think sometimes when you don't, when you're not sure of the future, bring yourself back to the present, especially if you're a senior. I'm big on that. I'm super big on it. Stay in the moment. Enjoy those moments. Stay in the present for as much as you can, because if you try to do that'll kind of, you'll be surprised at what things you'll start noticing and things start coming up because you're aware. You're more locked in. And I find myself doing that all the time, because sometimes when we're trying to predict things, when we're trying to play that math, when we're trying to be great and we don't know how to get there, you know what? Do your regular day. What can I do today to be a great student or a great athlete or a great student athlete or a great band member? Do what you do for that day. Just fully bring yourself into that moment, because you'll be looking back at these days. You don't get these days back. Once you hit the real world, you're out there. And what we thought was tough and thought was, I'm sure folks that'll say, I'm ready to get out of here, I'm grown. All right, you're gonna get what you want. Enjoy these days. Trust me, if we're lucky enough, we're gonna have many, many days of being grown, and it's not what I thought it would be, right? Not to say that it's bad, but it's just to say that those days of being a child are over. Enjoy being a high school senior and just go back into being present, going to school, hanging out with your friends, eating lunch, the things that we might take for granted. Fall back into that. And then, just really kind of reassess that. Always keep your goals, always keep things you want to go for, but keep the presence in mind, because it could really help you out.
Thank you, Deanna. And also thank you, Chris, for being honest that, even at your level of fame and achievement, that you can wake up some days and feel like you're not exactly sure how to get there, but you know how to do your, routine.
Basketball, and that's the thing. Basketball was such a routine thing for me. And hey, we got to win today. I fell into an easy thing for me. That's easy. But now it's no more games. Yeah, it's no more games. So that's when I'm like, it can be terrifying.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope every young person heard that, right? It's okay to be scared, and you'll figure it out. Okay, so our next question comes from Ruth. Ruth, of course, helped us kick off tonight's event, and Ruth is an 11th grader from my beloved Breakthrough Greater Boston. Ruth, take it away.
Hi again. Thank you so much for having me. I want to know about, when you think about the difficult moments along your journey, how did the support of others help you find what you needed to move forward?
I mean, it was everything. You can't do anything by yourself. I think sometimes there can be a misconception out there that folks do anything big or small by themselves. That's totally not true. On those bad days, you're going to need somebody to have a conversation with, to tell you, hey, hang on. You can do it. It can be real tough when we have a bad day, then we go off and be alone and be by ourselves. Not that that's bad or anything, but some days you just, you need that pickup, you need that spark, you need that guidance. For me, even in my individual quest to be successful and hope, be a professional basketball player, I had many coaches, many moms, many dads who drove me to school. I might have mentioned this earlier. Drove me to practice, took me to workouts, waited in the stands while I worked and worked and worked, taking me to go get something to eat. We had food at home. It just sometimes, you get tired of the same thing. It's like the spaghetti again. But having someone to take me to, give me a nice meal, show me, hey, take me to a nice place to go eat some food. That was just a wonderful experience for me. And so many coaches that I've had that just, it was a part of their DNA. They wanted to make sure we got home safe. That was the most important thing on their plate for that day. Forget the game, forget school, get home safely. And this is in an area that it's not always safe. So really looking back on it, so many times I was helped and aided on my way to where I was. And I never forget that. And a lot of the times, help always isn't monetary means, right? It can be, again, a hot meal, a word of encouragement, picking someone up, giving them a ride to work if they, after school, if they need to get there. There's just those small little random acts of kindness really, really paid it forward. And that's one of the things that's big on my plate. I always kind of want to try to bring that essence to it. And I want to let you all know as well. I mean, it goes a long way. I'm not saying you got to keep your wallet open and give someone money, but it may be someone who's just down and you say, hey, you could do it. Have a nice day. You'd be surprised. That can go a long way with a lot of people.
Chris, I think it's a good reminder for the young people who are listening kind of in two ways. Like one is that, program like Breakthrough, but the other things in your life, like, maybe you don't play basketball, so you don't have the coaches that you had, Chris, but like, so champions lean harder, I think, on other people. It's, the myth that the champion does things. I love that you point that out.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, like, no matter how old you are, you can be that person for someone else. Just, smiling
Sure.
at someone
For sure.
like that.
It's get and give, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Any before Ruth goes, so Ruth, stay on just because I think this is such a good question. I have noticed as a former high school teacher that some students kind of seem to attract more of that mentoring, that support, where people go out of their way, the nice meal, the encouragement. Any tips for these young people about how to be the kind of young person who just attracts that kind of support, care, mentoring? Because you did a good job of attracting that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from focus. If you're focused, again, find that thing that you want to do. Try to find that hidden talent. Do your best. And sometimes it just starts with a question. I don't want anyone watching to say, well, what am I supposed to do? That's going to be the next question, right? Only you can answer that. Right? You have to go and find it for yourself. That's the most important thing. I guess once people start seeing focus and determination in a youngster, that's when you have to show someone first what they're getting into. Nobody is going to come and say, there's always a funny saying when things get rough that we always use in basketball. Forgive me, I'm going to use a lot of basketball references.
That's okay. We forgive you.
One of the things that happen, if you ever see a team and they're just out there just like, we knew we were going to lose. We knew it was going to happen. The shoulders drop and they start feeling sorry for themselves, and then they get their butt kicked anyway. That's one of the things you can't fall into. You can't feel sorry for yourself.
The sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah. You gotta, this isn't it. I'm not accepting this, and we've got to get back on the wagon. Those are the things that help me, but someone has to see focus. No one is going to walk through that door. And again, coaches always say, no one's walking through that door to save us. You gotta have to have that same sort of mentality. You don't need anyone to come and say, okay, you're going to be an accountant and it's going to be awesome. You don't need anyone to say that, especially when you know yourself and you're into what you're doing, or you're into saying, hey, I'm going to find that thing. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find it. When people see that focus, I'm telling you, you will be surprised what you can attract. And not even to say you got to know right now, just to, if someone sees something in a young person that they're looking like, somebody will help you. You seem to be looking for something. What are you looking for? You'd be surprised. So just, put your mental efforts toward the daily grind of, hey, I want to find those things that I love doing. And I'm going to stick with it through the rain and the pain, and just know that, hopefully you've got to have your plan, and hopefully you'll have aid along the way. But you'd be surprised once you get focused and not take no for an answer and keep at it. Don't let a bad day or a dull day or an off day deter you from where you're trying to go. Things will start happening.
Great advice. Thank you, Ruth, for that question. And we finally have Christian. Christian, we say Philadelphia for last because, Philadelphia is the best. Christian is a 10th grader from Breakthrough, Philadelphia. That makes us neighbors. That's where I am right now. Christian, take it away.
Thank you for having me. My question is that what would you say to young athletes about the benefits of accepting constructive criticism and pushing through even when they feel their pride has been hurt?
That's one of the best things that you can do, is push through when your pride was hurt. When I got to Miami, and I'm just going to speak in terms of I'm assuming that everyone here knows that I played for Miami. But when I got to Miami back in the day, I was just like, my chest was from here to Mexico, man. I was proud. I couldn't wait. I just knew everybody was going to say, hey, Chris, what a wonderful decision you made. We get it. And I was putting all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. You know, I was hoping that everyone would get it, and that's not always the case. So that bruised my ego a little bit, right? And it got deeper than constructive criticism. I just want to put that out there because we're in a kind of information age where everybody can comment. And if you start paying too much attention to that stuff, it's no good. For me, you know, of course, and I talk about this in the book as well, you have to have a trusted source. If you have a coach, a teacher, if I'm your coach or your teacher, I'm going to hopefully have a relationship with you, know who you are, build that up with you first, and then, you know, challenge you to get better. Because that's what it's about. We were speaking about it earlier. Working on weaknesses is not fun. Let's call a spade a spade. It's not fun, but you have to do things like that in order to get better. If you're on any sort of team, usually the team building exercises or walking through something as a team or game planning as a team, it's not always fun, but it's necessary in order to accomplish your goal. You know, so for me, one of the things that fell into that was taking criticism from my coach. Once I worked myself up to the point where I'm like, okay, I trust this person. We're on the same team. We all want to get better. We all have the same goal. It'll hurt you sometimes. And, you know, in ball, we watch film. It's nothing more humbling than watching yourself just not perform very well. And especially if you're dogging it out there a little bit, that's embarrassing. But, you know, not taking it personally. Again, that's one of those things that can really, really separate you from the rest of the pack, because think of how many people would just shut down. Think of how many people you've said something. Again, not to say that you have to be mean or anything, but if someone asks your opinion, or if we're in a situation where we're critiquing each other's work, and someone says something to you and you don't like it, but they're right, you know, it would be a shame to kind of just be caught up in your feelings and not really assess and look at it with a critical eye. Because if you take those notes, if you take something from that person that you trust and you apply it, you get better. You know, so always a challenge every day. I mean, I hear things that I don't like all the time. Hell, my kids tell me criticism I don't like. Like, yeah, Dad, you know, I'll cook something and they'll be like, yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't as good as last time. Hurts a little bit, but I mean, you know, I might be mad and then I eat it like, okay, they're right. So, you know, it's all about the journey and getting better. And if you have that in mind, you know, that'll trump everything else.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Christian. Terrific question. We have some questions that came in via the chat function, Chris, and I'm going to start off with this one. And I know that, you know, some of the young people here, because they are young, like they may not have lived through the career-ending medical issue that you had, you know, totally unexpected. Could you just tell us the story of that? And then, of course, you know, what you did to kind of come out of it. But if you could just even give us the facts of that, not everyone knows.
Yeah. So in 2015, I had a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in your lungs. Extremely painful, really bad, came within inches of my life. You know, I'm very grateful to be here to this day. I had surgery. I was in the hospital for about 12 days straight. I had tubes in my lungs right here. I had those in for about 7-8 days. It gets blurry. You know, it was just one very long instance for me. And I was able to bounce back from that, And then in the process, the very next year, almost a year after that, I discovered another blood clot in my leg, this time in my lower extremity. And pretty much when that happens, the medical prognosis is usually, well, you have to take blood thinners for the rest of your life. And if I'm taking blood thinners for the rest of my life, I cannot play basketball if I get hit in the head while I'm on blood thinners. aneurysms can ensue, internal bleeding. Just a really, really bad situation potentially.
Not good.
Yeah, not good. So I was pretty much in a phase. I was in Toronto, out of all places, for the All-Star game. When I found out that news, I'm in the middle of trying to get back to the mountaintop, show that I'm better, prove that I'm better than ever, even though I'm getting, older in the game of basketball, but I was still only 31 years old. So, I was on top of my game, and then I had to stop just one day, never played the game again. So, that's pretty much in a nutshell what happened. My last game was February of 2016. That'll be 6 years ago this upcoming February. So time moves fast, but that's pretty much in a nutshell why I had to. I was forced to retire. I had to retire. I tried to come back in the league. Met with various doctors and went through all kind of testing and stuff, but eventually I just ran out of gas and went to
what was that like
being a
mentally?
dad.
I mean, you had a full life. Luckily you married up, which is good. But it's always good to do. And I know you love your kids, and of course you're famously you're a reader and an intellectual, but I thought you were very honest about this in the book. And could you talk about the dark days after this career-ending injury, which really kind of out of left field? What was that like? And I think there are a lot of young people who think that people like you never experienced depression or never experienced. Could you guys tell us more about that?
Well, I mean, there probably was some bouts of depression in there for sure. I don't, you have those days like, what's going on? I don't know why. I never self-diagnosed myself. I had just had my twin boys, and so it was right to 5 kids. I went from 3 to 5 really fast. So
skipped over 4.
Yeah, I had to adjust for my family. That was the thing that really held me together, was having to be that person that everybody looks up to, be that leader, be the dad. I just had to, gird up myself and pull myself up out of bootstraps and get it done. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't fun. It wasn't great. Oh man, the worst days. You just wake up, feeling like there's nothing. On more times out of the week than what you used to. And one of the things that I didn't realize was how much time I gave to the game. I was trying to be the best, so not having that, to fill that void that was there, and you're just sitting around, you got to think about it. If I'm in a season and we're having a home game, I'm at the gym from 10 to 11:30. Then I'm back at the gym from 4 to about 10 o'clock. And then the next day I'm back at the gym at 9 a.m. And then we're leaving around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And that's if it's a short day. That's every day, maybe one day off day during the week. We do that every day, no off days, unless, and even in the off days, we'll have maybe a team appearance from 6 to 7 if we're home.
Right.
So you're going from, okay, you got to be on time to the 4:15 bus, and then you got to be on time to practice or you'll get fined. You got to be on time for the game. My life was so structured, and to go from that to saying,
and so
okay,
goal directed, right? And then suddenly
absolutely.
You don't have a goal. Yeah.
Suddenly there's no goal. Suddenly there's no championship to win or lose. Hell, I'll take losing a championship over not knowing and just kind of floating around, right?
Just waking up with no goal. Yeah.
Yeah, again, but that made me have empathy for those who wake up every day without that, right? And again, it's interesting talking to you young people here. You might feel like you not have any, I had basketball and at least it was a good team. What if I had basketball and we weren't very good? I wouldn't have been able to go to a good school, probably. I probably wouldn't love it as much because we wouldn't have as much success. It made me have empathy for those who are looking, for that thing. And so
still searching.
Yeah, I've been there. I'm looking. I'm still searching myself. But in my opinion, it's more so about the question. You're not too young to process that. It's about the process. It's about the story of going and trying to get the thing. Because once you get it, it's like, oh, well, we got to find something else. You know, you'll get it and be like, oh, well, I guarantee you'll get that thing that you want. And then you'll be like, oh, I thought it was going to be way cooler and way better.
Yeah.
And it's harder to keep it.
Yes, it is. Something they probably like, oh yeah, I'll tell you that after I'm in the NBA Hall of Fame. And
man, yeah, for sure. And I mean, even in you saying that, I'm humbled and honored. I thought I was still going to be playing at age 37. You never know what comes at you. I mean, LeBron is still playing. Dwayne, he just retired a couple years ago. Carmelo, we've been knowing each other since we were 16 and 17 years old, and they're still playing basketball. We're celebrating our 20th, year out of high school, and they're still playing basketball. And I've been, the game has been over for me basketball wise. And now I'm in the Hall of Fame. Like everywhere I go, no offense to older gentlemen, but there's older gentlemen around me everywhere. When I'm taking my kids to school, I'm going to Hall of Fame. You have gray hair. It's like, man, what is going on right now? But I'm humbled and I accept it, but I have to find that next thing. I have to move on and find that next thing that drives me.
So Chris, that's terrific. I'm going to ask you one more question. I'll just to underscore, science also says that people who are happy are constantly setting goals. So it's actually the setting of the goals, the pursuit, as always, you're just psychologically like pitch perfect. I think the last question here, it's kind of like taking there are so many young people watching you, hanging on your words tonight. Like, any last thoughts of advice to, if you remember what it's like to be a teenager? Of course, you got 5 of your own. What would you like to leave them with?
I mean, that's such a great question. I don't think I've ever got that question. Man, all I can tell you is that how I felt when I was a teenager, when I was 17, about to be 18, with my friends, enjoying our situation. Have those goals. You're still a child, but start thinking like an adult. Start putting those things in place that you need to put in place. Start working for something. Keep those things in the back of your mind. Think about the things that you want to do. And again, nobody can answer those questions for you. You can ask, and somebody might tell you, say, "Oh yeah, I was cutting the grass. Man, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a gardener." Who knows? Be open. Don't be closed-minded. I mean, one of the things I was remembering from the questions earlier was having that growth mindset.
Yeah.
And all that means is just to be open. Be open to things that you don't understand. Don't think that you know it all. I thought I knew it all, and you don't want to be in that situation, which most of us will, but you don't want to be in that situation where we think we know it all, and then you find out you don't when you're in a bad situation because you weren't listening to your intuition, you weren't listening to your friends, you were just doing what you want to do with no consequences. Life is not like that. We're adults now. And the actions that we carry have consequences into our adult lives. And so many times, myself included, with friends, the decisions that we make now, oh man, you'll be my age, like, why did I do? Keep your head on straight. Don't be that.
Keep your head on your shoulders.
Keep your head on your shoulders, and don't think you know it all. Because I don't, and I didn't realize I didn't know it all until I was 25. Find that out before. And we won't even get into why. Yeah, we won't even get into why. When you guys turn 25, I'll tell you then.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's a date. Chris, thank you so much. You are a paragon of grit. you are a paragon of character. I mean, somebody of your celebrity, spend this time, taking time away from your own kids to be with these kids. Thank you so much. It's been an electrifying evening. I want to thank everyone who's joined us. And I want to say something about Breakthrough Collaborative. Breakthrough Collaborative is responding to the unique needs of young people. It's building a diverse and talented educator workforce. I want to leave us all tonight with a few words from Breakthrough President and CEO, and also a good friend of mine, Elissa Vanaver. Thank you, Breakthrough students, especially those who interviewed Chris. And Chris, thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being with us tonight. Angela, thank you. You epitomize the heart and the mission of Breakthrough, inspiring and equipping young people and creating systems-level change, one student and one teacher at a time. Chris, please accept my gratitude as well. You are an inspiration to so many for what you've accomplished and, importantly, for how you've done it. As a longtime Miami resident and deeply committed Heat fan, I just want to say your book just confirms what your admirers have always seen in you. And as a footnote, I want to mention that some of your Heat colleagues, including Coach Eric Spoelstra, have been champions of Breakthrough in Miami. Finally, I want to thank our event sponsor, Abra, the leading wealth management platform for crypto. At Breakthrough, we want our students, teaching fellows, staff, and leaders to be lifelong learners who push themselves to raise the bar every day and to do so with joy and energy. This past year and a half has brought more challenges and lessons than we can count. But the biggest lesson is something our scholars and teaching fellows prove every day. With the right attitude, skills, and support, you can break through. Peter, Peyton, Deanna, Christian, and Ruth, I know that you believe this in your hearts and that you live it every day. And I want to thank all of you for your role in today's event as well. Today, students and teachers are struggling with learning loss, disconnection, and disengagement from school. These challenges have only widened the existing education opportunity gap. Breakthrough is in a unique position to address these realities in local communities across the nation. Our proven program is changing the educational landscape and building the next generation of leaders, educators, and advocates. Thank you all for being a part of this national movement to advance educational equity. With your continued support, we can make many more breakthroughs possible. Thank you and good evening.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Oh. Yeah. Listen, we got too many pessimists, got too much arrogance. How did we get here? Yeah. Well, my mom told me as a child that my God made me to be what I want if he makes it clear. Yeah. So never mind what people say, when everything don't go your way. Yeah. Life gets hard, and that's good for you. Cause easy never made it worth it. Keep working. I'm looking for a breakthrough, a reason to believe that I can dream and the things that couldn't break you.